Welcome to the Types of Reactions lab. Here is the first procedure. I'm taking a piece of copper strip. In the lab it says copper wire. We're using copper strip. And I'm going to put it in the flame. Remember, the hottest part of the flame is right there. Make your observations. You can actually see some green in there. I'm going to take this and put it into the evaporating dish. Let me show you a piece of copper that has not been burned, so you can make that observation in your data table. Okay, here's before, here's after. You can see that it's pretty well burned. Second part of this is taking a magnesium strip. Here's before. We'll burn it. Here it is afterwards. Pretty much turns to ash. Okay, I'm going to try to splice these two video clips together. Let's see what happens. Okay, for the decomposition part of this lab, it says place 2 heaping microspatulas of copper 2 carbonate in a clean, dry test tube. Note the appearance of the sample. So I'm not going to use 2 heaping spatulas full. This is called a regular spatula, not a micro spatula. So I'm going to take probably a quarter of this or less. Okay, you can note what it looks like. It's got a aquamarine look to it, color, and it's powdery. So I'm going to put it in the mouth of this test tube, and I'm going to put the cap back on here. Note that when I'm heating something up, that I should be going back and forth, especially if it's a liquid. If I heat something up too quickly, I'm not sure, unless I know exactly what I'm dealing with, I'm not always sure of what's going to happen. So I'm going to try to keep this back and forth a little bit. So you can see what's happening. Okay, the green color is gone, and it's basically turned into dark brown / black. Now this is a decomposition reaction. So we start with the copper 2 carbonate, and we end up with carbon dioxide as a waste product here, as an end product. So the second part of this asks me to get a wood splint, which I've got right here in my hand, and light it, and then put it in the mouth of the test tube that I just heated up. So let's do that. Let's heat. Got that going. I put it in the mouth. You saw what happened, yes? So there's your observation. As soon as I put it in the mouth of the test tube, it goes out. Okay? There's your observation. I'm going to run some water. Get rid of that. This will... I'm going to let that cool down for a while, and then I will scrub that out later. That's the decomposition. Okay. Okay, for the next part of this lab, I'm going to take a test tube here. I'm going to put hydrochloric acid in it. I'm going to end up putting about 3 dropperfuls. There's 1, 2, 3 dropperfuls of the hydrochloric acid. Then I'm going to take a chunk of zinc and I'm going to put the zinc, you can see what it looks like beforehand. It's kind of shiny. It is pliable. It is malleable like other metals, yes. And I'm going to put it in the test tube with the hydrochloric acid. Now you can see what happens very quickly. I'm going to put it in the test tube rack. It's fizzing pretty well. I'm going to take another test tube. I'm going to put it over the top. You can see there's some smoke coming out of that. I'm going to put it over the top of this for about 30 seconds or so. You can still see it's fizzing pretty well. I'm going to get my wood splint ready. And I'm going to light it. And we slide this over a little bit. I've got my wood splint ready, and basically I'm capturing the gas that's coming off there. Alright, so ready? It was a little anticlimactic. Usually it makes a little bit more of a higher pitched sound. Let's try it again. Okay, that's all I'm going to get on this one. Okay, so basically it's making a noise. It usually has a higher pitched sound. Usually has a higher pitched sound, like a chirping noise. But that's all we got from that today. Okay. Okay, the single replacement part of this lab. I'm going to take 1 molar copper sulfate, and I'm going to put some into another test tube. It's plenty. It's probably a little much, but that's okay. And then I'm going to take another chunk of zinc called mossy zinc, and I'm going to put the zinc right in the test tube, but I'm not going to put this piece in because it's too wide. Let's try this. Okay, so you saw the zinc beforehand. Basically, we're going to let that go for a little bit. You might be able to see it change right before your eyes. Let's see. In this reaction, the copper is replacing the zinc on the surface of the zinc. So we're going to have to wait a little bit for this. We'll come back and check the results of that. Okay, so both the one we just did with the zinc and the hydrochloric acid and the zinc with the copper sulfate are, both of these are single replacement reactions. The double replacement reaction is next. Okay, I forgot to show you the end product of the final product here of the zinc in the copper sulfate. So the zinc was a nice shiny color. I'm going to bring it back here and pour it in the sink, and that'll give you a better idea as to what color it turned. Okay, can you see that there's a reddish hue to this? It's darkened for sure, but it also has a red hue to it. Might be able to see it better actually there. Okay? It's got a reddish hue because the copper ions there ended up on the zinc. Okay?